On this day in history, 1911, the hull of the Titanic was launched in Belfast. At the ceremony, a White Star Line employee claimed not even God himself could sink this ship. The thing about the Titanic, well, I guess this is what always got me. The way that it ends, Leonardo DiCaprio sinks in the water. Inception begins with him waking up on a beach. Movie within a movie? Who knows? Hello, Wattpad Nation. Welcome to the Corner Booth. This is a previously recorded broadcast, and it's something that we've never done before, so if we royally screw it up, we're very sorry, but we're going to edit it later. So, anyways, it's just going to be a lot of experimentation because we want to make sure that every single Sunday that we get you a broadcast, whether it's pre-recorded or if it's just done in a different way than we normally do it, which is a live broadcast. Regardless, if you're watching this broadcast, please use our hashtag TCBWatt on Twitter, or you can even use it on Facebook if you like. But essentially, what we would love more than anything is to get your feedback. We love seeing people use our hashtag and really, starting a conversation with us. I know that the panel, everybody on the panel, they've responded to either Wattpad messages on Thread or even private messages. But some of the greatest things that happen are the people that watch the episode and they're tweeting at the same time. They're live tweeting. And that's just always a lot of fun. So please, please, please interact with us. We love it when you do. So that brings us to the high five. And we have 4 great panelists for you today. And I am going to start with Mr. Thomas Barnick here on the end. This week, I'm doing something a little bit different, as I usually do with the high five, because I write the show. So we have about a little over 10 hours of Corner Booth broadcast. That sounds crazy that you could almost waste an entire day watching Corner Booth. But I'd like to know what the Corner Booth has done for you. Have you learned anything from your experience? Have you enjoyed the ride so far? Now, I know that Thomas and Ashlyn, they're relatively new to the experience. David, he's never done this before. But I know that you all have been, in some way, shape, or form, participating with the Corner Booth, whether it's on a thread or whether it's just watching broadcasts or, talking with me. So I'd really like to know, a little bit of your feedback on this.
Oh, gee. It's a bit twisted there. I didn't have that in mind. But you know what? I watch all the shows. I always take the time to watch all the shows. I tweeted about them. I share them, and it's in my channel. And I learned a lot from it. I met a lot of new people. I checked out their work, and overall, it's been an excellent experience for myself.
Great. Well, I'll take it as long as it's a good thing, right?
It's a good thing.
Very good. Miss Michelle Hayes.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, first and foremost, the friendships that I've formed on the panel, they have been such a blessing. I've met some fantastic people, but incredibly talented writers. It is a true privilege to be working with you all. Secondly, being part of this wonderful concept, my readership has increased, so that is awesome. And what I've learned that writers really do stick together. We are a posse that stands alone.
Man, it's really early because you said posse and I heard something completely different. Mr. David J. 13.
Hi. Well, as you said, this is my first time, but I've been watching since the first episode, and I think what it's brought to me is just a sense of community. You ask the questions, and I think it's just human nature. Everybody thinks, well, what would I answer? And what I end up hearing back is things I was thinking of, or things I thought I would have thought of, or things I never thought of, but suddenly I adopted as my own ideas. And it's just been this wonderful sense of community. And I mean, I'm all square right into the target audience. I love Wattpad, and I love hearing about writing. So this has been a great thing to be able to watch.
Great, and David, we're really happy to have you. David was, I guess, kind of in talks with Rita for a while about coming on an episode, and I hadn't really talked to David much, but the thing that I try to tell all of the panelists is the fact that I'm not a micromanager, so I put a lot of trust in their opinions. And if they say, hey, I really want this person to be on the panel, I'm going to say, well, yeah, let's do this. And so without really even getting to know David, who was our special guest panelist this week, without really even getting to know him, I just like, hey, David, here's all the stuff that we're doing for episode 11. We'll see you on Saturday morning, because that's when we're broadcasting this right now, is Saturday morning. We will release this at 6:30 Eastern, and any future canned episodes, provided this one goes well, that's kind of the methodology behind it. We'll record it sometime early in the week, and then we'll release it always Sunday at 6:30 Eastern on YouTube. But David, it's great to have you. It's great to meet you.
Great meeting you. Fantastic being here.
Oh, well, thanks. And I think that, it's exactly what you said. Every time that we do an episode and the panelists start talking to each other, or they start playing off of each other, whether it's the points that they're making, the questions, or if they say, oh, man, I really like that shout-out because I totally agree with you, you immediately sense that kind of community, like you said, which is super, super important. And joining us for her second episode in a row is Miss Ashlyn McCowan, or Story of Ashlyn. Could you answer our little high five scenario?
All right. So I wasn't quite sure what to expect when I came on the panel, but over the past week, I've really been surprised and encouraged by the people that have just, like writers I respect, that have come over to my profile, that have read my stories, and have just, supported me, whether it be going on the corner booth or, with what I'm doing. It's just so encouraging. So it's really exciting to be a part of this, and to see where this all ends up.
Which we have no idea. I mean, it could be. It's going to be an interesting ride here on out. So, but Ashlyn, it's great to have you here and rotating with our panel. So that brings us to my favorite part of the broadcast. It's called Cream or Sugar, and I'm going to tell you why. It's about Watt-Patters who have either become the cream that risen to the top, or a little sugar that we're throwing at somebody who's already fairly well established. And today I'm going to start with Miss Michelle Hayes for Cream or Sugar, and she's going to share with us some incredible writers, hopefully.
All right. This week I have a sugar. The author's name is Shelley Burbank. And not only
she's so awesome.
She is a sweetheart. I heart her. Heart. She is she's a novelist, but she's also a talented short story writer as well. And the story that caught my eye specifically is Chick Lit. It's a chick lit mystery thriller titled Disguised. From the start, this book is locking you in for one hell of a ride. It's mysterious and beautifully written. You got to check her out. She is wonderful.
And she's also a huge supporter of the corner booth.
Yes,
so
she is.
Shelley Burbank, you're just awesome all the way around. We love you.
We
Mr. David J. 13, would you like to share some shout-outs with us today?
Sure, I'd love to. I actually like to start just by making a small, not correction, but sort of correct something I didn't do, and that's to thank Rita for shouting out me a few weeks ago on episode 7.
We love Rita.
Yes,
I love Rita. She's fantastic. She's super supportive. She's always there with advice, and I completely thank her for the shout out and for recommending me for this panel. But to get onto the cream and sugar, I'd like to shout out Monica Fuller, aka Death of Cool. She writes the Blood Magic series. I just actually met Monica a couple weeks ago at the Toronto Wattpad meetup, and she was just wonderful to talk to. Very intelligent, knowledgeable woman about a lot of subjects, but especially with writing and publishing. But I picked up her Bleeder and the rest of the Blood Magic series about a year ago, and I couldn't put it down. It was just completely original. It's a young adult novel or young adult series about a teenage girl who's a sorceress but doesn't find out until she's captured by some very unsparkly vampires. And it's very dark, goes in directions you'll never expect, and you just can't put it down once you start. The other one I would like to shout out is Jesse Sprague, aka Kismet Winters. And she's done a few things on Wattpad, but right now she's writing Spider's Game, which I would classify as gothic sci-fi, which I don't know if it's a genre, but she's kind of creating it, and it's just a huge epic tale with complex characters. You're never quite sure who's the hero and who's the villain. It's one of my like true pleasures every time she updates, and she updates every Tuesday, like clockwork, which I give her props for because I know that's not easy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think anytime that somebody is bold with their writing, it's never easy. But David, I do. You kind of touched on this and just like very, very briefly, but I kind of like to know a little bit more about it. Taryn Matheru was on an earlier episode, and he and Brittany Sherman actually did the LunCon. I know that Toronto with the meetup that you were talking about. If you could kind of expound on that, how it works, and your experience from it, because I think a lot of people they would look into Wattpad meetups. So can you do a little bit more about that?
This was, I think it was the third one. It's organized by a gentleman by the name of Takutsu, who's almost a Wattpad celebrity himself. He has a book right now that's at the top of the sci-fi hot list. It's a feature novel, Espresso Love. Sorry, it took me a second to drag that out of my memory. He has a published book of that's really innovative. It's a Japanese style of writing that took place pre-Wattpad, of writing on cell phones. But he organizes this, and it ended up being just a very small meetup in one of the big parks here in Toronto. And we kind of just wandered around the park and chatted for the afternoon. And yeah, we have 7 people and 1 person from Wattpad, Nick Uskowski, and it was a great day.
Do you know when the next one is by any chance?
No, although they are going to try to make it at Wattpad headquarters this next time, but I don't have a date or that. I think he was hoping it would be a lot sooner because they didn't do any over the winter. So it's been a long break since the last one.
Gotcha. Well, thank you, David, for sharing that with us. Mr. Thomas Bonnet, if you'd like to share your Free More Sugar shout-outs this week.
Free More Sugar. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly shout out to three people here. That's going to be quick. My number 1 person here is Sloan Ranger, SLOAN RANGER.
Yeah.
And you like her, right? I can
tell.
tell.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Okay. Stories I would like to share. Number 1, Right Here on Earth. And this is from our book titled Inspiration. The second story from the same book, Inspiration, is The Man Who Planted Trees. And this she featured an amazing video. You watch it, you won't be disappointed, and you have to go and check it out. She's excellent. The second person I want to give a shout out is Christabel, and that's Kristebelle. And the book I want to feature, well, it's 2 books. Book number 1 would be Red Eye Belfast. This book has 5 parts already uploaded, and she dedicated each part to 5 amazing persons. So again, you should come check out that one. Book number 2 would be On the Eve of Mother's Day, and the story in that one I would like to feature is my mom. And again, Christabel she's just very talented. She's very supportive, and she's just absolutely worth checking out. So go and see her work. The third one I would quickly like to give a shout out to is Amy. I hope I pronounced that correct. It's spelled AIMEE, and it's Spanish, so I'm pronouncing it Amy. Anyway, her handle is at ROSAIMEE. And the book
she's
okay, there you go.
Too, and she's going to be a guest panelist on. I know that I have it somewhere.
I think it's 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, she's June 14th. Yeah.
Okay.
So she's going to be on, and she's so cool.
So book number 1 is Poems from the Tower, and it's from our Wattpad official pocket poetry list. And the title is Woman, so go and check out that one. The second one is Dripping Muses, and this is a collection of random short stories and poems. And the one I would like to feature in that one is titled A Fight for His Life. So you can go and check out her. She's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I love those shout-outs, Thomas. Especially, Rosemary, of course. I mean, we like her, or we wouldn't have her on a broadcast. Christabel, I'm glad that you're, featuring so many poets, because I think that, it's totally justified to feature poets.
And she's always on the trend. She's always commenting. She's very supportive, and she's just absolutely deserving of the shout-out.
And the book that I can't say it recently because it feels like I've been away from Wattpad forever. Trust me, like second week of June, I'll be back in Michigan. I'll be reading again because I'll be all by myself with my dog and nothing else to do and no distractions So anyways, I'll be back on Wattpad, I promise. But Christabel, she has a great collection that's called Euphemus. And whoa, holy cow, she's crazy good.
She is just amazing. Amazing.
Absolutely. Yes. Miss Ashley McCowan.
Okay, I'm not quite sure what's happening with my shout-outs, because I was going to give Shelley Burbank a shout-out within my shout-out, but,
you know what? She deserves another one.
She does.
Shelley.
She's that awesome.
I'll get to her part in my shout-out. So my book, which is my cream, I have two, is Catwalk by Nicole Gabor at NNGABOR on Wattpad. It's basically the story of a girl who graduates high school and goes to New York City to pursue her dream of modeling. And it's very much an exclusive, up-close and personal look at the world that the author's familiar with and that she's been involved with herself. She lifts back this curtain of glamour and beauty to give the reader a look at an industry that preys on innocence, and she really examines the lengths that people go, good and bad, to follow their dreams. The author herself has a very small following. I actually discovered her through Shelley Burbank's Ladies in Life, 35 and Up, which is a great interview book that you should go check out. And I was just fascinated by the personal stories she had woven and with her experience in modeling and how she had tied that back into a book. So I would recommend that. My second one is Pride's Children, a novel of obsession, betrayal, and love by Alicia Earhart. So the main character is a reclusive novelist with CFS, which is chronic fatigue syndrome. And through a twist of fate and a movie filmed in New Hampshire, she comes into contact with an Irish actor whose career is on the rise. And the relationship they develop is kind of interesting. Very much sort of this cohabitation, but outside forces kind of force them to define what they're not defining themselves. It's a very interesting look at the human psyche and sort of the mentality of obsession as it comes to love. So I would recommend that as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing is, okay, so Alicia Earhart, for the longest time, because her moniker is like A-B-E Heart or something like that.
Oh, I know.
And the first time that I read it, I thought it was a bear heart. And like she was using a play on words, or like it was Abe, or I forget. I was so confused at it. I was so lost at the very beginning.
Okay, I'm not the only one.
But I remember she read a little bit of my story, and I think it was just the fact of the way that she interacted with people was really, really cool. But if just kind of to brag on you, Ashlyn, because I usually brag on all of these panelists, but if Ashlyn reads your story, she deconstructs it down to its core components, and it's really, really cool. It's kind of almost nerve-wracking at times because it's just like, wow, I wrote that and I didn't mean to write it that way, but it's cool that you're seeing that. But if you've ever had Ashlyn read your story, you're a very fortunate person. Whoa, sorry, that was a weird sound. Yeah, so anyways, if you most of these panelists, just in general, they have their own unique spin on how they leave comments on stories. Michelle, she usually looks at relationships before anything else, and I think that's because she writes relationships really well. Thomas usually has a flair for humor, so if he catches something that's a little out of place, you're going to be the first one to know. Rita, Sarah, and Brittany, they all have, like I said, their own unique spins on their voice with commentary. Brittany's usually kind of very, very effervescent and very bubbly, and she's exactly the person that I thought she'd be. Anytime that she leaves a comment, it's always just, it's very, it's very, I don't know how to say it. It's very Brittany Charmatine. And then Rita and Sarah, they're just both really, really brilliant people. So if you're doing something, I mean, Rita writes historical fiction. Sarah, she does stuff that's very, very grounded in Egyptology. And so I think you've got to have a brain in your head to do that. So they're usually very, very analytical comments, but it's not to say that they're cold comments. They're always very warm. So if you want to know how to really gain a following, it's by doing what these panelists are doing. They're reaching out to the community in their own unique style, in their own unique way, and they're leading something that's a lasting impression. So if you ever just scroll through a comment page and see one of these people, usually they're going to leave several words, not just LOL or good job or update or whatever. I mean, whatever it is. So yes, sorry guys, I just needed to brag on you a little bit. Let's see. Now we are going over to the entree, which is the meat of our discussion. It's the questions that we answer every single week, and we really love to hear what you think as well. So if you're playing on our thread on Wattpad, or if you're using our hashtag, then please tell us what you think about these questions. So I'm actually going to start with our special guest, Mr. David G13, for question number 1. When you tackle composition, do you leave yourself out? How do you create emergency exits in writing? How do you allow your characters to tell you what the next move is? And David, just to kind of, I guess, summarize this episode, I know that episode 11 is called When Plan B Becomes Plan A. This is just, when things don't go according to plan and you have to kind of adapt. So I'd love to hear what you think, David.
Well, I'm a confirmed pantser, so it's all ways out for me. I start with a bare bones of a story. Like I've learned that you need to know a beginning, significant instance, and an end before I even start. But I don't really do much outlining at all, so it's a lot of outs, and it probably has caused me more problems than anything else, but there's reasons I do it. One, I've come to the belief over the years that there's only a finite number of times I can tell a story, and sometimes that number of times is just one, and so I just put that into the writing, and I really try to just take it where where it wants to go. And the other thing is that that's like the fun part for me. It's it's this discovery. It's that one word that you didn't mean to even write down. It just kind of came out on the page, and suddenly, by chapter 30, it's the major plot point. That's fun. I wrote a book a few years ago where each chapter I just challenged myself just to go almost in a completely different direction. Just to see if I could paint myself into a corner and write my way out of it. So I'm always leaving openings to explore new routes than the one I originally thought of. But I mentioned emergency exits, and I do have a few tricks to try to do that. And the main one is just editing. I mean, you can fix a lot in editing, and usually there's a lot to fix in editing. But also with serialization, what I do is I write a number of rough draft chapters ahead of time, just before I start posting anything. And then when the posting week comes, I'll edit it, clean it up, and put it on Wattpad. This gives me a really big leeway and helps me smooth out some of these things. For instance, in one of my books, there's a revelation around chapter 20, and it ties back to something in chapter 4. And a lot of my readers are really impressed I was able to plan this out, how these two were tied. But I was writing the rough draft of chapter 20 at the same time I was editing the chapter 4 for posting. So I was really working at them at the same time, so I was able to sort of plant evidence in chapter 4. So that was like, a great way of, I think that's a great way for anybody doing serialized writing to kind of give them a way out to, if they end up somewhere where they didn't mean to be. About it.
That's great, David. Thank you so much. Miss Ashlyn.
All right. So 2 years ago, I attempted to write my first fantasy novel, And I decided that because of the complexity of the world, which is very different than anything I had done before, I was going to make an outline with 20 points I wanted to hit and then sub-points. So it was a disaster because I discovered that I'm not a plotter, but I'm not a pantser. I need room to breathe in terms of creativity. So knowing this, as far as composition, I approached writing a novel with just compiling a huge Microsoft Word document. I take characters, I take character traits, scenes, dialogue, and I just basically make this huge document and put anything in it that's going to help me get a grasp on the world and the people that I'm writing. Usually I figure out about 3 plot points, which is before my major conflict, and then after my major conflict, which kind of helps me as far as emergency exits go because my plot graph is pretty flexible. So, for example, at the end of Stained Glass Souls, which kind of hit me in the face because I didn't know what I was doing, April 2014, I wrote the chapter before, and then I literally just figured out what scene I was going to write. So it's definitely not an approach for everyone because I understand that there's a lot of people, you have to have everything planned, which works for some people. So, getting everything realigned is a challenge, but in the words of Michael Crichton, books are not written, they're rewritten, so leave yourself room to create. That's all I have.
Okay, so yeah, you are probably going to be the next Mary L. Tabor. I don't know what's going on. That's just great. I was like, wait, Mary's off for the summer, but it sounds remarkably like her.
Actually, for a second, I thought you were going to give a spoiler for the end of your book. I breathed in heavy. I haven't finished your book. Don't tell me.
No spoilers. It's kind of different, than I thought. So that's.
Well, evidently, it's a good different, or you wouldn't have won a Waddy for it, man.
I guess,
That's so awesome. Mr. Thomas Bonnick, I kind of want to rephrase this question because I know that you deal in the realm of poetry, and it's not necessarily.
The same question would not apply.
It's the same, but it's different. I'm a really good writer, people. So for the poets watching, how do you allow your creativity to take the driver's seat? Do you ever put reason on the back burner and let the lines just flow?
No. The answer is no. I write with a purpose. I write with a message. I wanted to feel something whenever I write. So I basically, if I have a story, if I have something to get across, the message is number one, and then I try to write that flow around the message. If I can just mention one piece that I wrote just to make my point here.
Absolutely not, Thomas. No,
you may have to edit this one, but I wrote a piece called Those Wings Were Fit to Fly. And the reason I'm mentioning this one is because I wrote it probably 7 times. And it's because I wanted to get a strong message across, but in the meantime, I wanted it to make sense. I wanted to have a flow. It's like a song. It's like Michael Jackson, Heal the World, right? I'm sure it's carrying a strong message, but they went into the studio and they did everything they had to do. But at the same time, it must be a song that you want to listen to. You must be able to listen to it again and again. It must be a pleasure for you to listen to it. It must be pleasant, right? So whenever I write my poems, I want to have a strong message, as strong as possible, so when you walk away, you can still remember it. But I still want it to have a flow, so it's an easy and pleasant read for the reader. So that's what I go for. Message is number one.
Great. Thank you so much, Thomas. And last but certainly not least, Ms. Michelle Hayes.
Groovy. Okay, my course of action is I have a general outline before I take a seat at my PC. When I am knee-deep in a chapter, I do not place restrictions on what is going to happen next. My outline is my guide being the operative word. Having that reminds me to stay on the initial idea, but the story itself can be broadened further if an idea pops in my head or I see that the next paragraph can be strengthened with a surprise or a wicked twist. My characters have their own voice that I've created, thus it gives me the role of captain to close out the chapter with a sigh or a monumental bang. It really depends on where I am in the book. Am I in the beginning, middle, or end, to see where I can take the characters. The beauty of writing is there are no rules. I just go with it.
Well, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that, having that kind of spontaneity, but also having, you can have a purpose and still be spontaneous.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, if that makes any sense. So now that, thank you, panel, for those amazing answers. That brings us to question number 2, and I'm going to start back with David and just work back around the same way. There are times when the unthinkable happens, creating a speed bump in the writing process. How do you adapt? Mr. David.
Okay. As I was saying before, though, for me, it's not something I adapt to. I write into those things. It creates a challenge. It creates a game with myself. You know, when something unexpected happens, it's a good thing. You know, it gives me new openings and new opportunities to discover things about the story and the characters. It does create problems with the story, of course, because there's readers there, and they might not. You know, you can't just suddenly divert all the time, and that's where editing comes in. And sometimes there is big problems, like with one of my books. I ended up the ending I had planned. When I hit the middle, I realized it no longer worked. It didn't fit the character. The character would never do that. So I was kind of like, I actually spent the next 10 chapters like pulling my hair ending. And so it isn't an easy thing all the time, but for me, I don't usually look at them as speed bumps.
Well, that's good. I mean, I think sometimes if you just continuously look at the problems, then you're never going to get to where you want to be. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, David. We're going to go over to Miss Ashley.
All right. So for me, a lot of times unthinkable kind of translates to discouraging, and it becomes less about kind of what I'm doing in my novel and more about kind of what is going on in my life. I kind of struggle with having a self-defeating mindset when I write. I'm sure it's a widespread phenomenon. You know, we're not all super confident writers. That's what I've heard, but you know. So speed bumps can be wrapped around usually the fear that I'm not going to make it through the book, that I can't write well, which really kind of takes a hit as far as my perspective when I'm approaching my novel. So this technically is writer's block. I suppose you could coin it to be writer's block, but it comes down to the inability to think that I can write and work my way through the process. So various routines I've developed over time, basically just, you know, sitting down, forcing myself to break out of it, listening to upbeat music, drinking a lot of coffee. A lot of perception hacks for me can be as simple as kind of changing the word I can't to I can. So, you know, while it might seem minor, it can be a true obstacle, and the biggest factor in overcoming any speed bump, whether it be in your plot or whether in kind of how you're approaching it, is just being able to adapt and just having courage and belief in what you're writing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ashley. And Mr. Thomas Bonnick. This is, I don't even know if we're going to be able to edit this very well, but we're going to try. So this is
just getting chopped. I'm sorry about that.
Take 2.
Take 2. The first time, right?
Yeah. Well, you just run with it.
Okay, so anyway, so when I started on Wattpad about a year ago, I started by writing short stories. I read a short story about Kingston 13, and if you know Kingston 13, you know that these stories are going to be a bit violent, right? So I placed it under the wrong category and also with the wrong rating. So I got a message from Wattpad stating that I had to change that, which I did. But then I figured it's going to change my reach. It came from being general, where I was going to get everyone reading my stories, to, of course, a smaller number. So with that, I decided to start writing poems, because I had those ready to go, and those were clean. Those could be in like your general category. So I started writing poems and short stories in between my poems, and that's how I changed my plan B, or my plan A to my plan B. And that's been working out very well for me. So that would be the answer to that question.
End of take 2. Okay, so we're back to the original broadcast now. I don't know if we're gonna be able to cut that very well. We'll see what happens. So you might have just heard, like, if I'm not able to do it the right way, you might have just heard the same answer twice. I didn't think anything was wrong with the first one, but you know,
No, I didn't either.
It is a little self-deprecating, I guess, as a writer.
Once you listen, you decide, right?
Oh yeah. Miss Michelle, if you'll round out this question for us.
All right. When I have other things that are pressing in my life, I try not to become too distressed when I have to take a brief break. I'll just put my project aside for a bit and then revisit when I'm not going through turbulence. I'm not fond of it, as I like to write every day, but we are human. We need to be understanding of when we have those moments. Plain and simple.
And I mean, okay, so Michelle, I just if I was just a follower of your work and someone who had conversed with you and we developed one of those wonderful Wattpad friendships. What would you advise me if I was kind of facing that? I mean, because I know that you give suggestions and advice to people who ask it of you, but if just sucking it up and doing it isn't going to work for them, what would you advise them to do?
Just that. We're human. We can't. Rome was not built in a day. I live by that.
Rome wasn't built in a day, but it burned rather quickly.
Right. But if you overcommit yourself, the product isn't going to be as refined, as nice, and you're not going to be as proud of it. And I have a tendency I try to live by not overcommitting, and I do like to write every day. Even if it's a sentence, I will get something in that day. But if I'm flustered and going through too much in my personal life, I just put it aside. I know I'm going to come back to it. I know that I'm not, it's not that I'm not a writer for a day or an author for a day. It just means that Michelle needs a break. So we're human people. Remember that. Yeah, I mean, I hope I answered that appropriately.
No, sorry. I'm going to edit your entire,
edit away, chop it off.
I'm just going to put a live box in front of you, and yeah, it's going to be awesome.
It's all good. I won't be hurt.
All right, and that brings us to our first broadcast. It's called Pass the Salt, and it's honestly 140 characters or less, which makes it tweetable. I hope that you're enjoying these. I think that it just kind of flexes the panel's creativity, because telling a writer that it's not you have 140 words, you have 140 characters to get your point across. So let's break in the new guy, Mr. David J13. What do you got for us?
All right. I don't know if this qualifies as a truth. It's more of a hypothesis I've been thinking a lot about.
It's okay. You can talk to Michelle. Michelle's done this poorly for
I'm never gonna live it down. I'm never gonna live it down. It's all right.
But yeah, as I say, I don't know if it's completely true, but it's something that's been feeling true to me lately. As I've been writing, it's been coming to me these past couple weeks, and it's love writing more than the book. And what I mean by that is you have to know.
Awesome.
Good.
Yeah,
we have to retweet that.
Yeah,
love writing more than the book.
Yeah,
wow. That's awesome.
Thank you. But what I mean by that is you have to love the writing process more than the book you're writing, and you're going to love the book you're writing because you have to. I mean, if you're writing a novel, you're going to be with it for so many hours. Like, if you don't love it, you're never going to get through it.
Yeah, if you don't love it, who else is going to love it? Yeah.
Exactly, that too. But what I see it in other writers. I know I experienced it myself. It's a trap. If you love your book too much, if you think it's this perfect magnum opus, you kind of get entrenched in it. And in the 90s, I spent 6 years writing one book, and I don't think I ever got past chapter 8. And I see writers I follow on Twitter. I see some people on Wattpad just seem to be so enthralled by their own book that they never actually complete it. And I almost see as each book you complete, it's like a lesson, and you're kind of doing yourself a disservice if you just stop at lesson 1. And if you kind of think that the idea you have is the best idea you'll ever get, you're wrong. In the end, it's not the idea, but the things you're going to do with it. And if you become a better writer, you'll do better things with it.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Thank you so much. Thomas, be careful with your microphone, buddy. I guess that's just everybody in general. We're all wearing earbuds to make sure that you don't hear a lot of echo or delay or anything like that. But when panel, just in general, when you guys move around, if your microphone rubs against your shirt, everybody in the world can hear it. So be mindful of where your mic is. Yeah, it's not a pretty sound. I'm going to go over and bounce over to Michelle. And what do you got for Pass the Salt?
Okay, you ready?
I am.
Are you ready? Okay. It's rather lengthy. I'm kidding. Okay. All right. My past assault. Be ruled by passion and guts when writing, not trepidation.
Ooh. See, like, all right, Michelle, you've come a long way from like writing 500,000 characters to condensing it into something that's really, really amazing. Yeah. No, it's okay. I'm waiting for like one of these tweets to be like, you'll say something absolutely gorgeous, like you have like the past couple of broadcasts. I really like the one that you had last week too. But
the Eminem one?
Yeah, no, it was awesome. But I'm just waiting for Michelle to do, like, she'll say her tweet or whatever it is. She'll use her 140 characters, and she'll use all 140 characters, and then just to piss me off, she's going to go, #suck it. Mr. Thomas.
Okay, mine is very short. A writer is someone who has taught his mind to misbehave. And that's from Oscar Wilde.
Ooh. Yeah, Oscar Wilde. He was a pretty good writer. Yeah. I like it. Miss Ashlyn.
All right. Mine is probably too long, but it's inhabit your imagination, follow your dreams along their tangents. Sometimes the end is a mirage that unveils unforeseen conclusions.
Whoa, okay. Well, that was so deep.
That was 142 characters, Ashlyn.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You were all counting along.
I didn't touch it.
That was so Ashlyn, eh?
Yeah, that was excellent. Like, just the
That was.
Wow. Okay, well.
Are you a writer or something?
Yeah, seriously.
No.
It sounds like you write books.
Maybe. Only on occasion.
I do kind of want to expand now on something that I sent out to the panel, I guess, a few days ago, even though, you know, most of them said, hey, I never got this. And I was like, yeah, you did. It's actually the episode. Thomas. Thomas, your earbuds?
Okay.
It might be the jack.
Am I better? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I can also hear like everything that you do.
Oh boy. Okay. Is that better?
A little bit. Is the jack that you plug your earbuds into? Is that okay?
It is not touching anything.
Okay. Try unplugging your headphones and then plugging them back in.
Back in? Okay, we'll do that. Okay, is that better?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Well, like I said, we'll edit it out, but man, it sounds god awful.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. You're fine. I'll only be able to blame you a little bit. But okay, so we're gonna edit that part out. Definitely, because it'll be easier to do so. But so let's see. Okay, so I wanted everybody to know about this little episode guide that we've been talking about. I think I had mentioned that I wanted to give everybody a little heads up of what to expect. Now, the corner booth, I don't know if you have noticed, but we have been collaborating a playlist. It's called Season 1. And the way that that's ultimately going to work is we are going to have 25 episodes that span over Season 1. Then we'll take a week off, kind of recollect our thoughts, and come back hopefully with Season 2, provided that we still have all of this wonderful support waiting for us. But we do have the episodes for episodes this one, episode 11, all the way through 20. And the amazing Lindsay Lippincott has started not only a Wattpad page for us, but a Facebook fan page. So Lindsay, everything that you do, I mean, that girl works so hard for this project, and she does a fantastic job at doing it too. So Lindsay, thank you so much for everything that you do, for setting up the first Corner Booth contest. I know that we're already having entries. I don't know who nominated Brittany Charmentine, but that's not allowed, people. you can't nominate a panelist because, yeah, that's just wrong. No, Brittany, I love you to death, but you're not going to win this contest, girl. So the way that it works, just to kind of let everybody know, is it functions a lot like your run-of-the-mill Wattpad contest in the sense that we have a panel of judges and we have a guest judge that's going to come in and select the ultimate winner, who's going to get a lot of really cool Wattpad swag, courtesy of Amanda Lai and everybody at Wattpad HQ. And they're also going to get, the 4 people that are selected will get a really, really great interview. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So in that sense, that it does function a lot like a Wattpad 4 contest or just sci-fi contest or things like that. But there is a little bit of a twist to this. You cannot nominate your own story. You have to nominate somebody else's. So if you check out our Wattpad page, there is a book that says contests, I believe, and it has all the information there. And you enter your Wattpad besties or somebody who's really moved you. And well, we just want you to have a lot of fun with it. So I believe that we're going to be doing them every 10 episodes. So now that we've done episode 10 last week, we opened up the contest and everybody can kind of see how it's running, how it works. And then after episode 20, we'll do it again. There's another thing that I wanted to talk about. It was something that it was mentioned maybe around like episode 4 or 5. It was early. And it was something called 15 Minutes of Fame. And we're actually going to start doing that very, very soon. The first episode will feature our panelists, one of our favorite panelists, Mary L. Tabor. I will actually be traveling through Chicago, Illinois, and we are going to sit down and do the first 15 Minutes of Fame face-to-face. So it's actually going to be really cool. I'm really looking forward to it. We're going to be talking all about her memoir, Remaking Love, which won a Waddy Award this past year. And the way that's going to work, it's going to be kind of a chain reaction, and you'll see exactly why. But super excited about that, and just giving these Wattpadders who have worked so hard with their craft a little bit more of a spotlight. I kind of want to take a moment to go down the rows or the row panels and just get kind of a feedback of your favorite episode that we've done so far, even if you haven't been a part of it. So. Ashlyn, do you have a favorite episode? I know that you've watched a few. But... Did she freeze, or was it me? Ooh, she froze. Okay, hopefully we can get back to her. Thomas, do you have a favorite episode?
Oh boy, it got better. It got better as you go along.
Well, thank God it didn't get worse.
No. I saw a great improvement over each episode. So. I can't say I do have a favorite one, to be honest with you.
Oh, no, that's fine. I'm cool with that.
But I like them. I like all the episodes. I watch all of them, and I'm not sure I can give you one.
And that's okay, Thomas. I won't say it. I don't know. I forgot who asked me this, and this is just because I got asked.
If I had a chance to review them, I would be able to go through and pick one. But I'm not able to at this moment.
And then the reason why I'm asking the panel is because I was asked that question earlier. I think if it wasn't this past week, then it was the week before that. And somebody said, do you have a favorite episode, or are they like your children and you can't pick a favorite? And I mean, it's just because I guess I've learned so much from each episode that either if it's working through technical difficulties or just trying to figure out, I don't know. My uncle would say, it's all about trying to find your ass with 2 hands, and sometimes you can't do that. So I think that as we've moved forward episode to episode, we've gotten better at them as a panel, and also just technically. So yeah, I mean, every episode I'm just like, oh, we did this a little bit differently. So if you ask me, I don't really have a favorite. Michelle, you got one?
The episode with Rebecca Sky.
Of course.
My fave. Why? I don't know. She's my girl. She's my red lipstick chick.
That was a good one. I like that episode too. Mr. David J13, do you have a favorite?
Can't remember the name of it, but it was the one you had Gavin Wilson on. I remember
really it's a marathon, not a sprint. Yeah.
Yes.
That was a really fun one. We love Gavin, and we were really hoping to get him back on sometime soon.
And it was great to get a face to go with him instead of just thinking of him as this large orangutan.
Yeah, for the longest time I was just like, oh, wow, he's British.
He was British, though, because he dropped out for a while there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some technical problems, but it was a good episode.
Yes, it was, yes.
Ms.
Ashlyn, wow, you're looking very angelic right now.
I'm sorry, my computer died. I have all these tech issues. This is terrible. Okay. My favorite episode is probably, I'm going to second the one with Rebecca Sky. That was very, very interesting. So.
Yeah, well, I mean,
that one.
it helps that, Rebecca Sky is awesome. So, I mean, that always helps.
Very true.
But we do have some really great panelists coming up. One that I'm very excited about is next week, episode 12, which will be on June 7th, and we will be live again on Sunday at 6:30 Eastern, is Kelly Ann Blunt. And she is going to talk to Wattpad Nation all about this little thing called the Wattpad Block Party. Pretty much everybody that's been affiliated with the Corner Booth is a part of it, but she had asked me, hey, is there any way that we could get a shout out for the block party? I'm like, heck yeah, but instead of me, just reiterating things that you've written in an email, why don't you come on and be a guest panelist? And so we're actually going to do a 2-part series. It's all about diversity. So episode 12 will be diversity part 1. And episode 13 will be diversity part 2. If you'd like to see a little bit more of the descriptions, I know that Lindsay has posted them on our Facebook page, so check that out, please. And then it's going to get into some crazy, crazy topics. Like I said, if you'd like to read more about it, we do have episodes 11 through 20 all drafted out for you. And let's see, I do want to go through and kind of tell everybody about just the fact that now that it's summer, it's not that we're going to forget about I guess, corner booth stuff, because I know that most of the people on the panel are parents. And because of that, it creates a unique circumstance in the sense that their summers aren't really summers because they have their kids full-time now. But we're not going to forget about, corner booth stuff, but there is going to be there might be an episode where we have multiple guest panelists. There might be an episode where we're just really flying by the seat of our pants, and it's just because of the fact that we have to adapt. And what better episode to talk about this than an episode all about adaptation. But now I do want to take a moment to talk about the Just Write It Challenge. It's available on Wattpad.com. Take the pledge to write 10,000 words in 30 days. And they rotate the ultimate topic on a monthly basis. I know this past month they've been working with leading ladies. And the Wattpad 4, they always get together on Monday nights at 8 o'clock Eastern, and they talk all about how to engage with your story, how to really address topics. It's a lot of fun. It goes for an hour. They ask questions, and you get to meet people all over the world. I do want to tell people right now that please, anytime that we're giving away a Wattpad mug, you need to enter. Because I forgot because I was sending addresses to Amanda Lai, and I just realized that we had a contest where nobody entered. Nobody did what I said to do. So I was just like, oh man, well that kind of sucks. So
No, they're overstocked.
Yeah, I know. Now, if you want to walk that out, if you want one of these, yeah, just enter these contests because you're probably going to win it right now. So
I think Lila won, didn't she? She
won, but she gave it to somebody, which was really cool.
Generous
really
soul.
Cool. Yeah. So, but this week, if you would like to enter to win a Wattpad mug, just enter our contest. Well, wait a minute. I guess I can't do that because I don't know when Lindsay actually close the contest. I'm actually not in charge of the contest. Everybody has the misconception that I run the Wattpad page. I don't. I just talk. So Lindsay does all the legwork for that, so I probably shouldn't say that. How about this? If you would like to win a Wattpad mug, all you have to do is tag your story on Wattpad with hashtag TCDWatt. That's it. And everybody that does that to their story will be entered to win a Wattpad mug. Yeah, please. I mean, Amanda's been so great on offering us these things to give away, and we'd really like to give them away. So yeah, do that, people. So that kind of brings us to the conclusion. I don't know if we hit an hour or not. I haven't really been keeping up with it, but thank you so much for being a part of this experiment, Wattpad Nation, and I hope that you really, really look forward to all of the episodes that are coming up because we're going to look forward to bringing them to you. So even though it's morning for us, it's nighttime for you because this is when it's going to be posted tomorrow night. So if you would all say good night, panel.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye, guys.
Good night.
Good night.